Second week of the month for the energy of attraction, aligning with the meditation experience that's going on with Deepak and Oprah, which I think is the best ever and has been very significant for me, and I think it's out picturing in delicious ways. So I'm going to move into that today with our talk called Heart's Desire. And before I begin, what I want to do, especially after that song, that blessing, the musical blessing, is I'd like to take this opportunity and ask that if there are any veterans in the room, if they would please stand. And I would ask that if the community would please join me for a moment in a prayer dedicated to them. I'll speak it out loud, and if you want to speak it along in your head with me, first I'll start with a moment of silence for those veterans who aren't even here to appreciate this. And then I ask that you join me in that open-hearted gratitude for the men, the women, the animals that have served in the concept of being there to protect our country, each other, what we know as our principles, our beliefs, our values. To thank from that open heart, to thank each and every one of them, those for whom we are so grateful and blessed that they are here today with us, those for who have made their transition to the other side. We acknowledge all of the service for the eons, the generations of people who have served in this capacity to bring peace and clarity and wholeness to our country and the world. I give thanks. I bless you for what you've done. I bless your children, your generations that continue to live in wholeness and peace because of your willingness and your courage. I now surround you in light and love, and in gratitude I lovingly let it be, and so it is. Thank you for that, because indeed that has been a blessing. So it's a perfect song, Drenya. And then this weekend, we had another blessing. For those of you who have been familiar in the Chico area and at Chico State, this past cycle of time, the Venerable Losang Samten was here creating the Tibetan medicine wheel mandala on healing. How many of you got to see that at Chico State? I saw it on Facebook. Facebook is close. It's extraordinarily beautiful. So he worked on it every day, and then he completed it. And then on Friday night, we had the delicious luxury that Spirit, oh my, who knows why, the venue where he was going to speak and present his slideshow, something happened, and it didn't work out. And so they called here, and Polly said yes immediately, which was wonderful, so that he would be able to bring the event here. Well, what we didn't know at first in just booking that. Of course, it's like, yes, come. This is our center, our home. All are welcome. And what we didn't know is that this is actually the location where he started his work here in Chico, thanks to B.J. Moore and their alliance. And so he began here, and he completed here. That was the last mandala he's going to do in Chico. So at least that's what he says for now. You never know. And so it was lovely to have him here Friday night to present a slideshow and an informative talk. He is delightful. Not only is there that healing presence, but he's got this wonderful kind of mischievous, whimsical energy about him. And he was here along with we had about 15 or 20 people of our center, and probably about 75 or 80 people from the community who came to hear him, who were blessed and graced by our center to be here to share this experience and how he blessed our center. And then yesterday was the closing dissolution ceremony, and everybody was there, and we got some pictures, and we'll post that. And then he gave all of the people who attended, you got two blessings. He brought out this giant bowl filled with fortune cookies. And at first people go, yeah, fortune cookies, okay. And he said, oh, no, there's a blessing in there, and these cookies have been blessed. So you were to walk up to the altar and select your fortune cookie, say a prayer, know the blessing, and then you could take it home. And then at the end, when everything was dissolved, the sand was collected into little envelopes, and everyone who was there was able to receive an envelope with that blessing. And so I asked Linda Fleischman, I said, if there are extras, may I also have one for our center? So I have that, and I bought one of the posters that I'm going to have framed for us, and I'm going to put it in the room for reflection, John, which is the meditation room. Yeah. The meditation room, the counseling room. And so in short time, there'll be the frame, a picture of the mandala he created, so you can see it, and the sand that was blessed for our center. But he was such a blessing to be here. And for me, it is a blessing to know that our community stands in service as a center. We do church on Sunday, I know that, and we are a center, and it continues to grow. It's so lovely. We have Ollie here, and we have monks here, and we have all kinds of things. So that I just wanted to set that up because that's exciting. Now, today was an interesting day because I was working on the talk, My Heart's Desire, and working on it and wrote things and put it all together. And then this morning, as is my practice, in between, getting ready, shower, meditate, shower, do all that, went to print, and the ink ran out. So I have one page, right? And I was like, okay, no, that doesn't, no, okay, I'll email it to myself here to print it. Well, our printer here at the center, our printer copier, isn't working. We're getting a new one next week. So you can't print it here. So I said, that's okay. I'm a Mac head. I'll email it to my iPad. I'll read from my iPad. A lot of the, highfalutin talk people, the speakers now, are using their iPads to use for their notes, right? So I send it to that. Our internet server is down here today. So Polly's trying one thing, I'm trying on a MacBook, I'm trying on the iPad, I'm doing on all of that. So even though I ask you every week to turn these off, fortunately, because I am the Mac head that I am, you're going to turn on, aren't you? Thank you, Steve. I did email it, so I do have the notes because although I'm very facile, I hardly ever read the notes, the fact that when I got here and I didn't have my notes, and and the voice is going, Duchess, you do this all the time. Most of the time you never even open your book. Yeah, I know, but. So I do have quotes that I wanted to share, so I may have to use my lovely little iPhone to share the idea of heart's desire. So while it is warm, now you have to have your passcode because you all know that, don't you? You have your passcode so that nobody can steal that. No, don't do that. No. I love you, remember?
How may I love you?
There it goes. Yes, how may I love you? Okay, see, and there's my dog Chai on the front. Okay, so the idea being that we talked last week about thoughts being things, and that your thoughts create your reality. And so if you're working in the concept of the energy of the law of attraction, mental equivalence, your thoughts are the tools that shape the outpicturing. I wanted to read particularly a quote from Mike Dooley, because I quoted Mike Dooley last week a lot. And those of you in here who have been getting thoughts from the universe for a while, or maybe last week was the first time you got to hear about that, he will send you this wonderful little email every day with a positive message from, wink, wink, the universe, which, personalized, yes. And I just also got a text while we were here. This is like techno crazy, saying that our server seems to be fine from our webmaster's site. So I was meant to do this, wasn't I? Oh, God. You know what this is? Oh, you! I get what this is all about. Oh, my gosh, yes. You see, last week, as I was giving the talk with a combination of notes and inspiration channeling or whatever, I heard what I was saying. And what I was talking about was that we had to move past negative thought patterns and belief systems. We had to move into a place whereby we were willing and courageous enough to follow our passion and purpose. Remember that theme, passion and purpose, the year's theme, to be able to do our dreams, our desires, our goals. and to not let fears stand in the way of that. So, I'm jumping my talk notes, but I'm going for it because that seems to be what's happening. So I heard that, and and what I'm about to say is so foreign to me to share this information because it makes me so nervous. So Sunday night, after service, I went and I auditioned for a musical. Trenya's like smiling over there and knowing that the thought of singing on stage for me makes me quake. Just scares the, can I say be Jesus on a Sunday? Oh, I'm in a New Thought church. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to try and make this short while this is loading. So I auditioned. I had a glorious time. Well, the song was a little weird and rusty. I haven't sung an audition song in years, and including the sheet music, which I had to bring, Alice will attest to this, was yellow, because it was that old, okay? And so am I. So I went, I did it, sang, read, had a great time, watched these people, and then they sent me an email and said, we'd like to have you do this part, and I just went white. Now, why do I share that is because this is my passion. This is my heart's desire. I love doing theater and have denied myself that in the past 10 or 15 years. And so I moved past the fears of auditioning, singing, and now I have the fear of actually doing it. Oh, how was that? Was that the right note? See, I think I can sing when I don't think it counts or nobody's listening. So that's what I get to work through over the next couple of months. So I share that because y'all will know, because some of you who didn't know I did a play earlier this year, because that was the first one, I didn't talk about it. It was like, people would say, oh, when is it? What are you doing? When can I come? And I went, no, don't, please, stay away. Do something else. I'm sure there's something on Netflix, because it makes me so nervous. So the fact that I'm admitting it is, I know I'm making light of this, but it's really scary to tell you that. It's really scary for me to know that I'm going to do this. I don't know why I'm wearing a shirt with a tie, because now it's like, oh, God. But the point being, I am sharing it to move past my fears, in addition to the ministerial charge to say that thoughts are things, and if we want to have our heart's desire, we have to move past the fears and start thinking about thoughts that feed the passion and the purpose. Okay, Mike Dooley says, thoughts become things is the reason dreams and nightmares come true, because the thoughts you think become the things of your life, not just sometimes, and not just your positive ones, but the other ones too. You see, it's an immutable law, as rigid and predictable as gravity itself. In fact, you can't ever turn it off. Gulp. That's the good news, and sometimes the hard news. And that's what we talked about last week. The thoughts that you are thinking are creating your reality. And so it is our charge from the spiritual capacity to put our attention and focus, using the law of energy and attraction, put it on the things that we want to experience, that we want to outpicture, and we call it in religious science, demonstrate in our life, that we want to move past the fears. I had a little thing on my Facebook page that was a graphic that said, everything that you desire is on the other side of fear. Oh, well, that was it. Yeah. Because when we start to get nervous about our heart's desire, whether it's you want to do theater or you want to write something or you whatever it is that's within you and probably has been within you for a long time, usually, if it's not showing up out here, I can guarantee you it's because of fear. Yes, there may have been life things, and adults come in and distract you one way, and life comes in and takes you another way, and then by the time you look at that treasure box of what it is you want, you go, oh no, I'm probably too old, it's too late, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm fine, look at me, I have a great life. And yes, and frankly, my case, I have a great life. I'm indubitably blessed, and I have heart's desires. I have things that make me happy that I have discounted along the way for, my whole long story, which fortunately you don't have to hear today. So, I'll come back to that. So I talked about that. So the idea being the energy that we put on something, and this is classic religious science and new thought and metaphysics, what we put our attention and energy on increases, doesn't it? So if you have been putting your attention and energy on over the years, oh, I can't sing, oh, I can't do this, oh, I'm too old for this, or this isn't going to happen, guess what? Mike Dooley talked about it. Ernest Holmes talked about it way before Mr. Dooley. You are out picturing that belief in your day-to-day life. And then what happens is we often, some of us, I won't account for you, give lip service to things that we think we're supposed to say out here to match the conditioned world that we've gotten used to, but inside our head it's something else. And so no wonder we're occasionally conflicted or despaired. Can you be despaired, English teacher? Thank you. Okay. Because the things that you want in your heart aren't out picturing, and you're going, I don't know why. Doesn't God know that I want to do this? And the spirit, the universe says, well, yeah, except that you're saying you're too busy, you're too old, you're too distracted, you can't, you shouldn't, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. So you have, like the scarecrow, which way do you want to go? I want to go home. Well, where's home? Home is within, which brings me back to the monks, which brings me back to why all of this is lovely, all of this, these nice positive thoughts and these words and the motivational speakers and all of that's great, but often it gets focused on things. That's why we got such a bad rap when The Secret and What the Bleep came out. All of us new thoughters got that bad rap. Oh, all you want to do is manifest parking places and princes and money. Well, yes, and. Sure we do. But that's not what it's really about. Because what we want to do is put our energy and intention on the condition, the beingness, which is the wholeness of it. Because then I'll take you back even further, back to the Bible, because then all else will be added unto thee. Seek ye first the kingdom. Now, we translate that differently. It's not about seeking the king or one being, person, male or whomever, being, if I seek that guy, I got it covered. It's about the kingdom within. And so, woven all through almost every Sunday talk, no matter which minister is standing up here, and through everything that Lopsang said, and all of the mystical Eastern teachers talk about, how do you find that kingdom? You must go within. You must go home. Home. Home is where the heart is. Heart's desires. Are you starting to see the threads? The idea being that you need to go home to your heart's desire. Even if you're, an adult in a mature age and you've already got a career or you've already retired, I don't doubt that each person in this room has some heart's desire that has been hidden or buried or stuffed in a closet, in a box, do not open in case of emergency, that you need, that you're called, that sings to you to have happen. Something. I don't know what it is for you guys. You need to ask. You need to ask within. You need to find out, what is my heart's desire? Because the funny thing is, we can't manifest any of the goodies until we get in touch with that. And to get in touch with that, we have to do a spiritual practice, get still, get quiet, meditate, pray, walk in the park, however it is that works for you, to find out or return to our authentic selves to answer that question, what is my heart's desire? What do I want to experience in the world? Most things are focused on the car, the job, the right relationship, and all of those are things. Those are external things. And what we teach and we preach and you read about and you hear about really is coming to that spiritual place within so that your highest desire, Spirit's desire, and thy will be done, is matching your heart's desire. And when that's in congruence, then it outpictures this way. But we sometimes get is it the cart before the horse? Or the horse before? cart before the horse, because we're trying to, well, I really want a better job, and then if I have a better job, I'll have more money, and then I'll meet the right people, and then I'll have a retirement, and then I'll have the 2.5 houses with the 3.5 cars, and the IRAs and the pensions and blah, 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 and then everything will be fine. And yes, we need to look towards that. We need to take care of ourselves. I'm not discounting that. But we have this tendency, particularly in the American ethic and culture, to want to do these things, have these things, before remembering this first. And that's what all the Eastern teachers are telling us. It kind of tickles me and fascinates me that people flock to the Eastern teachers that are basically saying the same thing that a lot of the Western teachers, specifically right now, Ernest Holmes, are saying the same thing. But when you hear it from somebody in a suit and tie, you know, saying to find the answers, to find your heart's desire, you have to go within, you need to pray and meditate, they go, yeah, that's nice, okay, Om. And then you go to the Eastern teachers who are saturated with that. That's why you can feel it when you're in their presence. Because they know that's their whole life, and all the other things are added unto them, and we're drawn to them seeking what they have, which is wholeness and peace, knowing their authentic self, their passion and their purpose. We seek that, and yet we don't, or some, we haven't absorbed it. We don't practice it. I'm not sure why that is. I'm still working on that one because, well, I do it too. Why isn't it that we're all following the bliss, thank you, Joseph Campbell, following our heart's desires? If thoughts are things, as Mike Dooley says, choose the good ones. And yet, day after day, I will find myself choosing the good ones, and then every so often, the Snarkosaurus comes in and grabs the microphone and starts telling me what I can't do, what I shouldn't do, what's wrong with the world. And then I have to remember, oh, that's right. That's not what it's about. And I have to move the microphone away, bless the Snarkosaurus, because that's a part of me, even if it's coming from the news outside in the world, people, places, or things, headlines. And I go back to being within, to my spiritual practice, to that still small voice within me that speaks to me from my heart. Your heart's desire was birthed with you when you came into this incarnation. Some of us have had the good fortune and pleasure to follow that, to experience that. Some of us have put them away. Some of us continue to do it, and some of us may have never experienced it because you followed the plan. You go to school, you graduate, you maybe go to college, you get married, you get a job, et cetera, et cetera. We follow the external plan of the American culture and ethic because that's what we're told to do. That's race consciousness. Yet, as Gary Zukav says, when the personality comes to serve the energy of the soul, that is authentic power. When the personality comes to serve the energy of the soul, that is authentic power. And what does it mean by that? The personality, the incredible, creative, unique individuation of God that you are, if you tap into that or return to that, and you start sharing it, admitting it in public, if you start doing that which calls to you, you are serving the higher purpose of your soul, which means you're at oneness, you're in authentic being, and you're in wholeness, which is ironic because I had originally chosen the topic wholeness for the month of November. And then when I heard about the Deepak and Oprah meditation series, and it was called The Energy of Traction, something just said, run with that, parallel that, because where two or more are gathered, therefore so am I, and it magnifies that. So I am trying to magnify the energy and the intention that they have set in order for us to outpicture that as well. And yet in today's meditation with the Venerable Deepak, what he did is he capsulized all of it and he said, well, this is about wholeness. And I laughed out loud, you know, and then my cat jumped off my lap. He meditates with me. And it was like, wholeness, well, and I wanted to say, oh, Deepak, I already knew that. That was going to be my topic. How did you know? Duh, the one mind. Because when you tap into the wholeness of your being, when you tap into your authentic self, you know. I know I've mentioned this somewhere on a Sunday, but I had the privilege umpteen years ago when I was the minister at Pacific Church in San Diego of hosting the Learning Exchange. The Learning Annex taught all kinds of classes, from cooking to religion and all that, similar to Ollie, but it was open to the public. And I got a call one day and they said, can we rent your space? We have a guest speaker coming and an event on a Saturday, and we don't have enough room. And it's, again, similar to the thing with Love Song. We are in a pinch. We need a place. And I said, well, that depends. You know, we are a spiritual center. I need to know who the person is because, you know, I want to make sure it's the right thing. And he said, oh, I don't know if you've heard of him, the author Ray Bradbury. Wait, let me pick up the phone that I just dropped when my chin went to the floor. Oh, yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah. Oh, my God. Well, yes, I'd be happy to book him. Oh, my God, Ray Bradbury's coming. Yes, okay. So we arranged the event. It was a Saturday event, all-day event. He was coming to give a lecture, a talk, have a Q&A, and I was ecstatic. It got even better because while we were there, he was ailing somewhat and getting along, and he needed to be seated. He came in a wheelchair, but he needed to be seated. He couldn't stand for very long, and he was not very strong in voice. So I had the privilege and the blessing to literally sit at the feet of the master and help with questions and answers, so that if someone would ask a question from the audience, I could relay it to him and I could exchange something. And I sat and met him, and there was so much that I took away from that day, that gift, including a signed book. But the key thing, which stays with me, which is why it's coming back today, is he was talking, someone asked, I guess they wanted to be a writer or something, or they got distracted along their adult path, and he said, you've got to find, I'm paraphrasing Mr. Bradbury, you've got to find out what is your passion. And he said, well, I don't know what my passion is. And Mr. Bradbury said, you need to go back to when you were a child. Think about what you used to do all the time when you wouldn't think about the clock, when you wouldn't think about being hungry, when your mom or your dad would have to say, Ray, come on, get inside, or it's time to go to bed, and you were still doing it. He said, tap back into that, the thing that called to you as a child, the thing that just when you think about it even now. So I'm going to ask you right now, close your eyes for a second, please. Take a breath. I'm going to create a safe environment. You're now going to, I'm taking you back without the use of a watch. I'm not hypnotizing you. I want you to be still for a moment. Take a breath in and invite your higher self to assist you in answering this question. There is no judgment, no obligation, no expectation. Ask of your higher self, what is it from my childhood passion that still sparks within me today? What was one of those things that as a child I could do forever if I was given permission? And then look at it, if you can, as detached as you can, without being in it. If you start to feel yourself feel any, oh, I missed that, or why didn't I, or that ship is passed, don't go there. Just witness it from a neutral state. Just identify it if you can. And if one or two come up, just identify those and make a Post-it note in your brain. And then just wrap the whole thing up and release it. Take a breath, and when you're comfortable, open your eyes and return to this space and time. And then I'm going to ask you this week to revisit that in the privacy of your home, maybe in your spiritual practice, maybe with your journal, maybe while you're, walking the dog in the park, however is called to you, and revisit that and ask yourself the question, what happened to that dream? What is it that I can know, not do, to allow it to resurface? And as you ask those questions, ideas will come to you. Well, maybe I could take a class at Ollie or Butte College. Maybe I could see a practitioner for prayer support in having the dream realized. And maybe if the vision didn't come to you or you couldn't find anything in the recesses of your mind, and don't let that frustrate you, then maybe seeing a practitioner and asking for prayer support to have your passion, your purpose, and your authentic self be realized. Doesn't have to be a thing yet. What I want you to understand is that the law of attraction, the energy of attraction, as Mike Dooley said, works for you, is an impersonal, impartial law. It works for you if you're thinking good thoughts or you're thinking limiting thoughts. So let's shift our attention. Maybe that's what the prayer is about. Maybe we don't want to jump from here to all the way out there about achieving that divine and ultimate goal. Maybe it's really about give me the courage to reveal my purpose, my passion, my desire. And then the next prayer is, and give me the wherewithal, the people, places, and things to help me outpicture that. And as I said last week, when the doubts or the snarkosaurus voice comes in to try and squash all of it, just get still, unless you're driving, but get still and say, all right, I hear the committee voices wanting to discount me. I hear my heart's desire palpitating with hope and kind of like, oh, let it be. Then heal my unbelief. Whatever part of me does not believe that I can do what's in my heart's desire, whatever part of me has bought into race consciousness about age and money and expression, whatever that is, let it go. Heal my unbelief so that I may be one with my authentic self and in a state of wholeness and grace. I want to read to you something from a colleague, Reverend Michael Torphy, who was at Agape with me, and this is from the Inner Visions magazine, which we both write for, and I actually, some of you may remember, Reverend Michael candidated for this position. And I thought the piece that he wrote this month for Inner Visions was perfect. Have you ever experienced someone saying something is not funny, yet somehow they're laughing at whatever they thought wasn't funny? It's like they find it funny, but they need to convince themselves it's not, so they can get upset. Their words are saying one thing, while their body, action, and attitude is saying something entirely different. I compare this to when one is praying or doing affirmations, and the words they're speaking aren't in alignment with their thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes. The result they seek will not necessarily equal the words, but they will equal any thought, belief, or attitude behind the words. It is important to be in total alignment with what you declare in order to bring your declaration into fruition. Any contrary thought or belief that you've accepted as a truth will always show up some way in your life through your experience, whether you're conscious of it or not. Your subjective mind will always reveal your core beliefs, no matter what it is that you might be saying. The good thing about realizing something that has shown up as contrary to your word is you get to decide whether you want to keep it or change it. It is not reasonable to think you can hold an attitude of doubting your word or wishing your word will be fulfilled while at the same time expecting your word to have power. If you're listening to a thought that's telling you what you're speaking is untrue, then the thought will have more power than the word. Behind the thinking, there must be a mental attitude, mental equivalent from last week. There must be a mental attitude, an attitude of what you know to be so is so. If you do not know this, then argue the contrary thought away. Tell it that it has no power over you and let it be gone. Well, that's simply exactly what we're saying. We may be saying one thing out here because we think it's expected of us, or we're in a habit of saying it, and yet our heart, which has now been, layers and layers over top of it, or as I said last week, sometimes my heart's desire or goals were put in a nice, sweet little velvet box, but up in the closet, behind several things, nestled, cushioned, very, very nicely taken care of, but not within the reach. And so when it would speak to me, it would be like,
Duchess, can you hear me? Hello? Hello, are you out there? I thought you might want to...
What? Do I hear something? Oh, no, it must be the neighbors. I don't know. I certainly, and you don't listen. Which is parallel exactly to what we talk about spiritually in the Bible, in New Thought. Becoming still and listening to that still small voice. You may think it's coming from that box in the closet, but it's not. It's coming from your higher self, calling to you, reminding you the truth of your being. Behold, you are my beloved, in whom I am well pleased. How may I serve? What is it you wish? It's like Wesley in The Princess Bride. You ask for something, and Spirit says, as you wish. Calmly, humbly, no big things, including if you're asking for, oh my God, it's busy, it's crazy, I'm on overload, I don't know how I'm going to get this done, there's no time, there's not enough hours in the day. As you wish. Or, there's my heart's desire. This is what fuels me. I feel the passion. I can feel the tingling. I want to do this. I don't know how it's going to happen. It's not up to me to know how. All right, Spirit, if you're going to show me, let's do this together. As you wish. So when you hear your thoughts, and they sound negative, or they sound whiny, or they sound like your mother, your father, your grandparents, or the counselor you had in high school, whoever it may be, and it doesn't register, it doesn't ring true with your heart, think about Spirit going, as you wish, and change that, shift that. Have the courage to do that. I'm not saying it's easy. Trust me. It isn't always easy. And sometimes it makes your knees knock and a lump in your throat and all kinds of things, and you think, and then that starts the brain pattern, which is what we talked about, and your emotions say, this is too scary, we're not going to do this, and the brain goes, oh, that's right, we decided we weren't going to do it, or the last time we did it when we were 12, it was so embarrassing and humiliating, we're not going to do it. And we have that wired in us, chemically, literally chemically, but everything that trumps that is God. God trumps all of that. God trumps all of the negativity, all the doubts, all the fears, all the knocking knees, all that stuff. So our charge, and we say it over and over again, and I'm grateful that there are so many people who can find ways to interpret it and translate it and say it so that at some point you will hear it. Your heart's desire is within you and is calling to you. Use the energy and the law of attraction to reveal it. You must reveal it, yeah, because remember what they've all just said today, you've got to find the authenticity of it. Because if your dream is, well, I want to go to college and I want a degree and I want to have that job and I'm going to be an attorney and I'm going to, yeah. But in your heart you're saying, I really, really am a carpenter. I really, really want to have my own kitchen and bake and do things. But you're out here saying, but the world says and my family said I have to do this. You're at conflict. And it's no wonder that the universe is outpicturing disparate experiences. Trust thyself. Thy will be done. Thy will is being done. Thy will, how we used to think of it, really is my will when I get all the trappings out of the way. And the way to do that is to turn within. And the way we're going to do it now is the same thing. Please, let's turn within. So allow yourself the breath. I may have stirred up some stuff, kind of like Pigpen. I may have stirred up some dust clouds and you're feeling a little sneezy and snuffly and you're not sure. Or I may have fired the fuels of passion and you can hardly sit in your chair because you want to go home and get started. Or you're somewhere in between. We're not going to attach to any of those feelings or thoughts right now. I am really asking you just to be present. To be mindful. And maybe you feel your breath. Or maybe you feel the fabric of the clothes you're wearing. Maybe your heart is racing. You're aware of all that, being in the present moment. And as the thoughts start to come in, and they will, just nod to them. There'll be time to address those thoughts. Be brave enough, bold enough to be still, quiet, and present here and now. Ah, there it is. And so I speak my prayer from that place. Not just because it's required to do a prayer at the end of a talk, but coming from that point of wholeness, oneness. I speak my word. Again, I speak it in the first person. I know that there is one life, capital L life, one love, one heart, one mind. And that is spirit, that is God, that is the universe. And all that that is and contains, the people, the trees, the sky, music, fragrance, silk, tactile touches, the smile on children's faces, the giggles in our own mind and heart, all of that that is God is who I am right now. Unqualified, unconditional. It doesn't attach to my name or my occupation. It's who I am as a child of God, here to be, to know, to remember, and serve. And as I breathe that in, I feel the empowerment from that, and from that place of recognition and remembering who I truly am, I may speak words of affirmations that are true and authentic to me. That everything I could need, want, or desire is mine. That God is my source and supply for all things, because I go there first in consciousness and in energetic, and in so being true to that, lip service and heart service being true to that, I know it begins to outpicture as the tangible things I need in my world. May show up as a new position. It may show up as increased and expanded health. It may show up as extra points and figures and digits in my checkbook. It may show up as wonderful, like-minded people coming to share this journey with me on the planet. I know that I am in touch with my wholeness, my oneness, my authentic self, and I work in tandem with the universe, with God, to reveal it, so that my thoughts and my actions and my feelings are congruent. And that as I speak them, think them, and feel them, and put them out into the creative law, to the impartial law, and allow them to outpicture, I know the universe is saying, as you wish. For thy will is my will. And if you can think about the higher self saying that to you, rather than you saying it to the higher self, thy will, whoever it is up in the universe, in the clouds, in the ethers, thy will is my will. Ah. Reverse it. The infinite life mind of God is saying to each of us, thy will, thy heart's desires, is my will. How good it is that we can be in touch with our authentic selves and our heart's desires. I breathe that in for a moment. I let that settle into the recesses of my being, into the cells of my body, so that everything holistically connects and responds to that truth. And that there is no person, place, or thing that can delay it, obstruct it, or deny it anymore. Not even me. No. And so as I breathe in the infinite truth that we have shared and collectively agreed upon for each of our own authentic selves, I just now release it back into the universe. Give it over to Spirit. I don't have to worry about how it shows up or what I need to do. I breathe and I be, and I know it to be true. So please join me together as we say, and so it is, and so I am, and so we are. Amen.